Hey guys, so let me check my technology. As you come in, let me know that you're there. Say hey, give me a big hey. That tickles me every time. So, for those of you who are new to me, because I know I'm connected to a lot of new people, for those of you who don't know me, I am Tessa Colvin. I am a publishing coach and consultant. And I wanted to come on because I just did a training inside my group. It's the Get That Book Done group. If you're not in there, get in there. I wanted to share something that came up during my session with them. I guess we'll call it a session. So, one of the main things that people always tell me has them stuck, has them, that word stuck, struggling, challenging them when it comes to writing their book is that it won't be perfect. So you know what? I'm like, okay, I've got the formula. I can't be continue to be greedy and selfish. As you guys come in, say, hey, let me know you're there. Um, as a matter of fact, if you can hear me, do me a favor and drop a one in the comments. Let me know you can hear me, you can see me, and all that good stuff. While I check and make sure that I'm really live. Okay. Hey, Brandy. So, yeah, there I am. Okay. So I don't know. Facebook does some funny things. It won't let me see my comments real time sometimes. So I'm gonna try to do double duty. And there we go. So I'm gonna give you the goods. You ready? Here we go. So let's talk about perfection and how it holds you up, how the syndrome of perfection is keeping you from writing your book. Like I said, I just did a session inside my group. Sorry, got a straight hair. I did a session inside my group, and when that was one of the things, people essentially coming back to the whole perfectionism thing. And that, hey, Chandra, and that it's like, I want to write this book. I feel called and led and pulled and assigned all of these powerful words to write my book, but I get stuck in the writing because it won't be perfect. And it's like, ugh. So, since I have the secret, since I know how to write a perfect book, I guess it's time for me to share. But the only way I'm going to share it is if you promise not to tell anybody else. That just tickled me. So, okay, here we go. Now, the flip side of that is really seriously, if you know someone who's struggling with their writing, if you know someone who's struggling to get their book done, I've been connected recently with a lady said she was writing her book for 9 years. Another lady was writing her book for 15 years. I ran into a guy who was writing his book for 20 years. And every time I hear those numbers, I just kind of fall apart inside those numbers. Hey, Gemma. I hear those numbers and I just really feel horribly for the people who are working on the books as well as the people who need these books. Can you imagine? My favorite analogy, you guys have heard me say it before, somebody Googling and your book isn't there. It's like them calling 911 and not getting an answer. So can you imagine somebody calling 911 for 20 years and the book isn't there? They're not getting the answer that they need. That is horrible. That is heart wrenching. It makes me very sad. So let's kill this myth of perfection. Like I said, if you know someone struggling with this, share this out, tag them. It's okay. It was just a joke that I didn't want you to tell anybody. So here's the thing. Here's how you get to a position where you're writing the perfect book. Number one. Hey, Lisa. Number one. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you know who your book is even for. That's a perfect love connection. You start with a perfect love connection. That's the first part. Don't fall into the trap of my book is for everyone. That's ego, and it really and truly is a trap. Your book is not for everyone. Hey, Tanya, your book is just not for everyone, and it's okay. You don't have to apologize for that. The odds of my husband picking up a book about childbirth is very slim, unless it's from a male perspective written for him specifically. But just like Our Bodies, Ourselves type of book, he's not picking that up. So think about that. You want to start with the perfect love connection. Who am I talking to? Who is this book, that this journey of my life, who was it specifically designed to speak to? Here's what I know about me. The books that I write are for people who don't have very long attention spans. Why? Because I don't have a long attention span, right? Perfect love connection. I'm not writing a 6,000 million page book for my readers because they ain't gonna read it. I know that, right? So after the perfect love connection, you got to figure out what's the perfect love language. What's the perfect conversation? What are you guys talking about? I know nothing about golf. Therefore, I am not going to be in a conversation with my readers about golf. That's silly. So you need the perfect love connection and the perfect love language. I know you like, it can't be this simple. It is. It really is. And then the other thing is this. Take yourself out of perfection jail. You have held yourself hostage to this standard of your book has to be this certain way. It has to be these certain amount of words, these certain amount of pages. You've got to use terms like therefore and thou art and all of that. And you don't talk like that. You don't. You have to be perfectly you. So take yourself out of perfection prison and decide to be perfectly imperfect. That's it. Decide who your perfect reader is, decide what your perfect conversation with that reader is about, and then decide to be perfectly you, imperfectly you. It's very simple. Why is this important? Because your authentic voice has to come through. Your authentic voice is what makes your book perfect. I have read books that had typos and weren't perfect in grammar and all of that. I didn't care. As a reader, I didn't care about that. I was consumed by the information and the message in the book. That's it. I could not, there's never been a time when I read a book that changed my life and I was like, you know what, this book would have been perfect. I would have believed everything this person said if it had been a comma right there. Never, ever, ever. Hey, Allison, never have I put a book down because even though it was profound in the knowledge and the ahas that was happening, I was like, oh, they did not capitalize this sentence. Oh, the first word in this sentence wasn't capital. I cannot believe them. They're not an expert. Never once has that happened to me. I don't know. Has it happened to you? Like, tell the truth. Shame the devil, as my friend Beth was saying. Tell the truth. Have you ever had that happen? When we go and we hear people speak and they pour into us profoundly. Hey, Muriel, have you ever once stopped someone from speaking? Hey, stop. No, wait. Would you put a comma in that sentence if you were writing it? No, you haven't. You've never done that. So why is it that good? Make sure you're in my group, Muriel. I'll make sure I drop the link. So stop holding yourself in that prison of perfection because it's a lie. I've been pouring out to people for years. I've been coaching and consulting for years, even before I had the official title, because I've been a good friend. I've been a good sister. I've been a good daughter. And I would give advice and give information and help draw parallels between my life and the lessons that I've learned. Those were perfect messages. Period. So if you really want to know how to write a perfect book, the first thing you have to do is decide who you're even talking to. Who are you even communicating with? Who's your perfect reader? Who is your, be real. If your perfect reader is single mothers between the ages of 20 and 35 who are fed up with making low wages, that's who you're talking to. You're not talking to people outside of that parameter. So don't try to correct and overcorrect for them. You're not even talking to them. As my daughter would say, you know, I wasn't talking to you. Don't come for me. If you're not talking to them, you're not talking to them. Make no apologies about that. It's okay. Your message is who it's for. And it's perfect, right? So then the second thing is your perfect language, your perfect love language for your reader. If your reader will connect with a conversation like what I'm having, just down to earth, straight out, here it is, Do that. Don't make it a book report. They're not going to connect. You've wasted their time. You've wasted your time, right? The next thing is you got your perfect reader, perfect love language. What are you talking about? The perfect conversation. What are you talking about? What's the conversation between you and your reader? What are you talking about? You can't talk about all the things. You can't. Narrow it down. You can write 16 more books if you need to. That's fine. But in each one of those books, have one conversation. It'll be perfect. Take them from awareness to transformation of one thing. When you think about the most popular books, that's what they do. They help you solve one single problem at a time. The analogy I gave in my group earlier is like when you try to throw everything into one book, it's like going to every single type of doctor there is all in one day. How overwhelming is that? Something's not going to get done. You're not going to follow somebody's instructions. You're going to give up and not go to some of those visits. It's okay if you write multiple books. You're not limited to writing just one book. And hey, Anthony. And so if you guys are just joining, I'm looking, Facebook won't show me my comments here, so I'm having to check my phone. So you want to know who your perfect reader is, know what your perfect love language and conversation with that reader is, and then decide to be perfectly imperfect. Just be yourself. Be yourself. Your journey has equipped you in a way to speak to pour into, to teach people like nobody else can. I said it the other day, bet you can't do it like me. I am darn good at what I do. I'm great at what I do. I'm a voice editor. I'm a voice expert. I am great at pulling out authentic story from someone. That's what I do. Me saying I'm great at it doesn't take away from anybody else. All I'm saying, my point of reference is this. I am great at what I do. I'm an expert at it. And you are great at what you do. You change lives every time you open your mouth. You do. You've been doing this for years. You have people you've mentored, they refer to you as their mentor, and you never even thought about it. I have people, they always refer to me, this is my big sister, this is my mentor, because I've been doing this for years. Same rules apply. Don't change up how you were architectured, that's not a word, how you were designed. Don't change that up because you feel like you got to polish some stuff and you've got to be a super this way, right? Gemma, you are great at what you do. As a matter of fact, everybody that's on here live, and if you come back for the replay, take a minute right now and type into the comments, I'm great at what I do. Emphasis on the great. I'll wait. Because I want to cheer you on. I want to shout you out. You are great at what you do. You've been pouring into people forever. You've been mentoring all different levels of people. You're always the go-to person. Every job you've had, you're training, you're helping people, you're pointing them in the right direction. I'm still waiting. I'm great at what I do. I'm waiting to see them. So you don't have to change that. You don't have to change that. Why? People are waiting on that. At the beginning of this live, I shared that I run into people. I ran into someone recently. I think she said she was writing her book for 9 years. Someone else was writing their book. You are great at what you do, Muriel. You are great at what you do. Someone else is writing their book for 20 years. I don't know about you, but when I see that, it makes me think, okay, so what have you learned in that 20-year span that you still haven't put in the book? Like, there's so much more to it. There's so much more to writing a book that impacts than just saying, okay, it's done. Yes, Chandra, I'm going to read that. I'm great at teaching women how to make huge impacts in the world. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Great at what you do, right? So trying to change that and make it some other level of perfect, it waters you down. It takes away from your value. You don't have time for that. You got lives to save out here. I'm clapping like my kid. Out here in these streets, you got lives to change, right? You have lives to change. You have lives to impact in a positive way. You have people you're supposed to pour into and impact because they are struggling to build their empire. You are carrying empires on your back. And by not pouring out and by trying to filter and change it and force it into some box of society or what we think is the great American novel or the, how a book should be. A book has to be 215 pages or it has to be 6,000 pages. Not necessarily your story. Doesn't work like that. You are designed to help a specific people. They're going to respond to you and the way that you present your information as if it's perfect anyway. Take yourself out of that prison of perfection because it's a myth. It's subjective. My level of perfect is not your level of perfect. I might say perfect and you'd be like, it's a little off kilter. It doesn't quite look right. It's subjective. That's what makes it a myth. So if you want to write a perfect book, here's the key. That made me laugh. The key is this. Take yourself out of the perfection prison. You got the keys. You can decide that done is better than perfect at any time. Not to say you aren't putting your best foot forward. Not to say you aren't creating an excellence. But if perfection is what's holding you hostage and keeping you from getting your book done and delivered to the people who need it the most, we don't need it. Throw it away. Muriel, you said, I get very stressed and become unwell. So that's not perfect, right? Perfect implies that all things are good. All things are well. So if striving for perfection makes you unwell, you have to recalibrate. You've got to step away from that. That's not helping you. You can't create a mission and a movement if you're unwell. Missions and movements are messy. They are. They have a bunch of moving parts. And as visionaries, we want things to go a certain way. But we got to look at the big picture and not the path to the picture. That ain't your business. Right? Get your message out. Get it into the hands of the people who need it the most. Get them moving. Get them impacted so that they can start doing what they're called to do. That's what you're designed to do. You're designed to ignite. You're designed to empower, inspire. None of that has anything to do with perfection. It has everything to do with being exactly who you were designed to be. Gemma, you said, I know what I need now to write my book. Look, don't make me excited. I get all excited. You want to become perfect, Muriel? That's going to be a challenge. What's perfect? What is perfect? The other thing is perfection constantly changes. Because it's a myth. It's not real. And when it constantly changes like that, you're always playing catch up. You're never going to feel like you hit the mark. That is something that will keep you stuck, stagnant, and just not changing lives the way that you should all the time. So I'm going to say it again. If you want to write the perfect book, you figure out who the perfect person is for you to talk to. And when I say perfect, I mean, who's your message for? Who did you go through all that you've gone through for? It wasn't just for you. It was someone else who needed to know, man, if she did it, I can do it. She shares like that. She's still standing. I can do it. She's still thriving in her business after all of that. I can do it. That's your perfect person, right? And then the love language and the perfect conversation. What y'all talking about? What's happening in your book? How are you getting them from point A to point B? Y'all know my never a tell-all, always a teach-all. That's perfect because it takes them from a level of awareness to a level of action. That's what makes your book perfect. That's what makes it perfect. And then the last thing was, just simply giving yourself permission to be perfectly imperfect. There's nothing wrong with you. You went through that journey because you're on assignment. You weren't punished. You weren't, you should have did this and that's why this happened. Nothing is a surprise to God. You went through those things so that you can be sharpened, so that you can sharpen somebody else. Because iron sharpens iron. It's just that simple. So if you want to write a perfect book, embrace being perfectly imperfect. Get your book done. Get the writing done. You can't impact people until you write your book. You can't do it. That's your assignment, to write a book. You know it. Otherwise, you wouldn't even click on this live. You know it's your assignment. You know that's what you've been called to do. You've been struggling with it. You put it on your to-do list, your New Year's resolution list. People still do those, right? New Year's resolution. You put it on your list every single year. You are running almost neck and neck with some of those people I talked about earlier. 9 years writing a book, 12 years writing a book, 20 years writing a book. And it's time out. It's time out. There are people who are depending on you. They're waiting. They're looking for you right now. I said it the other day in my live. I said it earlier today in a live. They're Googling. That's their version of 911. And your book isn't coming up, so they're not getting an answer. It's time for you to answer the call. And playing around with the myth of perfection, it's not helping them, and it's certainly not helping you. It's getting you further and further away from the finish line. And in the meantime, they're out there trying to go it alone, and you've got the answers. The scenario I gave my training inside my group earlier today was this. Imagine you had the cure for cancer. Every kind of cancer, any kind of cancer, you had the cure. You've got it in hand, and it can save millions of lives, because people are dying every single day from cancer. They are dying grueling deaths every day, and you've got the key right here. You've got the answer. But you're not sending it out because you need the perfect box. So you go looking for the perfect box. You find the perfect box. Now you need the perfect ribbon. Then you get the perfect ribbon. Now you've got to tie the perfect bow. In the meantime, lives are fading away. Families are watching their loved ones die mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, because you were looking for the perfect box, trying to tie the perfect knot. And now you have to find the perfect method of delivery for your perfect box with your perfect ribbon, when all that matters is the cure. It's that serious. It is that serious, right? Because your message and everything that you've gone through is perfect. You're on assignment. You're on a mission. If you were done, you wouldn't even be here. You wouldn't even be here on this day in this moment. But you still got work to do. You've still got lives to save. You've still got lives to impact and save and change, and businesses to help, and speakers to help, and people to motivate, people to build confidence. You've got so much more work to do. So focusing on perfect spelling and grammar, it's a bit of a cop-out. It's a waste of time. Waste of time and energy for you when you have so much that you have that can help people, right? So let me check the comments. Muriel, you said, I want to motivate people suffering from NMO disease, rare condition. Sherry, hey Sherry, I didn't even see you pop on. You said, I tuned in just at the perfect time. Need to get back and watch the beginning. Yes, so I'm going to wrap it up, and then that way you can go back and watch it from the beginning. Okay, so that's the thing. I want you to understand that your journey has perfected your message. Spelling and grammar and all of that doesn't make your message perfect. There's people for that. They're called editors, proofreaders, line editors. I can go down the list. But you bring the talent, you bring the information, you bring the cure. That's what you need to focus on. Getting your message out. Getting your message out so that it can be delivered to the people who need it the most. You cannot write and edit at the same time. That's why you're stuck in this cycle of perfecting and dealing with the myth of perfection, because you're trying to wear all the hats at the same time. So I challenge you, whether you're watching this on the replay, whether you're watching this right now live, I challenge you to be the messenger, get the message out, get the writing done. And then if you need help, let me support you. It's no secret, this is what I do. I'm not going to pretend, oh, by the way, I'm not going to pretend with you. You've got a message. You've been struggling to get it out on your own. Get some support, get some help. Do I have something for you? I do. My boot camp. My boot camp is designed for me to put you in a safe container where I can hold you accountable. We set goals. What's your goal? How many words are you trying to write? What's the focus of your book? Who are you talking to? Talking about that perfect love letter. Who is it to? To your perfect reader. Figuring that out. You may not know. Most times when people get stuck in perfection paralysis, it's because they didn't do the work on the front end. They sat down and said, I'm going to write a book. And it didn't go like they thought. So get the support and accountability you need to really make it happen, so that you don't have to be stuck in that whole perfection paralysis. Because while you're doing that and stuck in that loop, like I said before, there's somebody who's Googling. They're looking for the answers that you have. And you're busy trying to make it look a certain way when all they need is the answers. So I'm going to drop the link. Join me in the boot camp. We start officially October the 1st. Inside the boot camp, like I said, it's a private container. We're writing, not a big module done, not passing you off to somebody else or none of that like that. It's me, you, and a group of other people who are trying to accomplish the same thing you are. Get their message done, delivered to the people who need it the most, with support. Every week we're checking in. What did you do? What didn't you do? Where are you stuck? You hit a wall, what's going on? Where is your mindset? You think mindset doesn't have anything to do with writing? It does. Everything that you feel, everything that you be, everything that you encounter pours out onto paper, or it doesn't. All of that matters. Let me help and support you through that. If you are struggling and you really want to get your book done this year, I have something for you. I designed it specifically to accelerate writing. That's why it even exists, to get you from a flashing cursor to writing your book with ease, feeling confident about what you're writing, knowing that the words that are pouring out are exactly what your reader needs, so that they can not just say, oh, that was a great story. She survived that. He survived that. That's awesome. But actually sending them to action. Oh, wow. They said, they suggested, they left me an assignment. They said, go do all of that. So that's how you write the perfect book. Know who you're talking to. This is not new information. You guys know this. You've heard me say it. Know who you're talking to, know what you're talking about, and then authentically and perfectly, imperfectly talk it out exactly the way that you would if we were having a conversation. Stop trying to force your book, your message, your life, your journey into some box. It's not designed to be that way. So I dropped the link. If it's for you, I'm going to pin it. I'm mastering technology today. If it's for you, I'll see you on the other side. If you have questions and you want to know, is it for me? PM me. Let's have a conversation about it. Let me clear up any questions that you have, and let's get your book done this year. The last thing is, if you know someone who has been struggling for 9 years, 12 years, 20 years, 5 years, 2 years, a year, tag them, share this. Writing your book doesn't have to be hard. It's not supposed to. It's not designed to be hard. The same way that you post on social media with ease and people are like, oh my gosh, that blew my mind. That's how your book is supposed to go. It's not a fluke. It does not only apply to social media. You're the talent, and your message is very necessary, very important, and it's already perfect. Stop trying to make it something that it's not supposed to be. That's all I have for you guys today. Talk to you later.